Hello, today is Monday, the 18th of April, 2022. My name is Simone Spasari. I'm interviewing Adolfo Pecina for the South Texas Archives at Texas A&M University, Kingsville. This is part of the Voces of a Pandemic Oral History Project in partnership with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. Please know, Mr. Pecina, that this recorded interview will be placed in the South Texas Archives at Texas A&M University, Kingsville, and shared with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. If there is anything you do not wish to answer or talk about, especially given that your recording may appear online, I will honor your wishes. Also, if there's something you want to talk about, please bring it up and we'll talk about it. Because we are not conducting this interview in person, I need to record you consenting. So I'll ask you a series of 6 questions. Please say, yes, I agree, or no, I do not agree after each one. There are 4 questions we need to make sure you agree to before we go on. South Texas Archives at Texas A&M University, Kingsville wishes to archive your interview along with any other photographs and other documentation at the South Texas Archives at Texas A&M University, Kingsville. We will retain copyright to the interview and any other materials you donate to the South Texas Archives at Texas A&M University, Kingsville.
Yes.
Do you give us consent to archive your interview and your materials at the Jernigan Library at Texas A&M University, Kingsville?
Yes, I agree.
Do you grant South Texas Archives at the Jernigan Library at Texas A&M University, Kingsville copyright over the interview and any other material you provide?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree to allow South Texas Archives at the Jernigan Library at Texas A&M University, Kingsville to post this interview on the internet where it may be viewed by people around the world?
Yes, I agree.
Do you grant South Texas Archives at the Jernigan Library at Texas A&M University, Kingsville consent to share your interview and your materials with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin for inclusion in the Voces of a Pandemic Oral History Project, which will include posting the interview on the internet?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, we have many questions in a pre-interview form that we've already filled out. We use that information from the pre-interview form to help in research. The entire form is kept secure in a secure Voces Center server at the University of Texas at Austin. The final storing of the pre-interview form will be at the South Texas Archives at the Jernigan Library at Texas A&M University, Kingsville. We will have stripped out any contact information for yourself or family members so that will not be a part of your public file. Your public file will only be accessible at the Jernigan Library. Do you wish for us to share the rest of your interview in your public file available to researchers at the South Texas Archives at the Jernigan Library at Texas A&M University, Kingsville?
Yes.
On occasion, Voces receives requests from journalists who wish to contact our interview subjects. We only deal with the legitimate news outlets. Do you give consent for us to share your phone numbers or your emails with journalists?
Yes.
Perfect. Then we can get into the interview. So tell me a little bit about your experience with COVID-19.
My experience with COVID-19, it was probably as for all the people in the world. It was a surprise for the whole persons in every part of the country, in every part of the world. In my case, as a student, it was kind of hard because I had to leave, as all the students. I have to leave the campus. I have to leave where I was renting for my school, for my university. So I had to go and protect myself against this virus, and so it affected me in the way that I had to throw all my goals that I had during that year in everything was smooth. For example, my graduation, that they had to extend my period of time at the university because I had to take less classes after that virtual change from traditional classes to virtual.
Right. And so how did you learn about COVID?
I learned about COVID because in Texas, I think we had one of the first cases of COVID. It was close to the town where the university is. And then I was hearing these comments about this new virus that was getting to the country. It was really, really more to the people. So during that time, before it was converted to, before the governments mentioned that this was a pandemic, I remember we were in a spring break, so I went to visit my parents in Mexico, and I was ready to return back from the spring break. During that week, we were getting emails from the university that they were considering to do some changes for the spring semester. We didn't know anything about this virus completely, so it was just rumors that it was really mortal to the people. So, and then after they declared the pandemic, we start knowing more about this virus, and then that we had to protect us against the virus. So that's how I started learning more about the COVID-19.
Right. And so after learning about what COVID was, what was your initial reaction to hearing about?
To be honest, I was scared as other people because I thought on so many things that um, will happen to us as human beings. For example, I thought on the worst, even from getting sick to death. So, and I was afraid more because of my family. So that's why I stayed in Mexico. I wanted to be in a more isolated place during that time. It was for me, it was a good option to be more isolated as the people that were staying in the big cities.
Right. And staying with family.
Yes, it was really important. Yes.
And so since you were a student during COVID, how did that impact going to school for you?
Because I was in Mexico, I tried to finish that semester with good grades, but it was impossible because in Mexico, the infrastructure for internet is not that good. So also because I was where my parents live is just a small town, so they don't have this really they don't have really good signal to, like, for example, phone services, and even for internet they don't have probably in some places. So it was really hard as a student. It impacted me in my grades. It impacted me in my decisions of being in school. Or first of all, I thought on changing of universities, getting closer to one of where my parents were, because also it affects me financially. So, but I think the worst it was because of the grades. In some time, I was thinking of dropping out from the university because it was hard for me to be taking classes virtually. And also because it was the first time I was going to fail a class.
Right. And so how did your teachers accommodate to your needs during that time?
Because I explained my situation about my like the internet service in Mexico. If the recommendations were to extend the deadlines for the assignments, for the quizzes or the tests that I was having in class. By that, they were allowing me to keep in track with the assignments with my work, um, with not the same pressure probably as the other students because of the deadlines for the assignments. So that was a primary accommodation that they did for me as I was taking classes during the pandemic.
Well, it's good that they could understand your situation. How did it affect organizations you're in?
During that time, during that semester, spring 2020, I think so it was when the pandemic started. So I was like in 3-4 organizations at my university. The main one was the Student Government Association from the university. So we were we used to have our meetings every Wednesday of the semester of the week. So during that semester, we couldn't meet anymore. So we were trying to make also the meetings virtually, but many students they couldn't connect they couldn't have a schedule for the meetings. So and also for the other organizations we couldn't meet during that time, even virtually. So it was it was a mess. So I stopped attending the meetings for every organization. And then I lost communication with all my classmates and all the members of the different organizations.
That's tough. What other kind of challenges did you face?
One of the main challenges I faced, it was in my economic, it was economically, because during that semester, it was my first semester at the university. Also, I was renting a room for me to stay to attend the school here, college, and my parents were paying the rent, but because they live in Mexico, it was, for example, double for them to collect the money to help me paying the rent. So because I had a lease for that room that I was renting, I had to keep paying my monthly payments for the rent. So it was hard to, with not working and then trying to get that money just to keep paying for that room. It was tough. And I think that was the main, it was the main, it was the main trouble that I had during that pandemic as a student.
Right. So how do you think going out during the pandemic was different than going out pre-COVID?
It was not the same because now we were with that sentiment of um, fear. I remember when I went to visit my family just after they started letting people to go out. Um, when I got to see my cousins, and they were like, "Don't get close to me, please. We can talk from the other side of the table." It was not easy to feel that connection with all of the people that we cared. So it was hard to not discriminated in this way, but to feel that they wanted that distance, to protect you and protect them. So uh, before, it was not as before the pandemic, that we will also, like, for example, we will hug without fear, or we will shake our hands, say hello to closely persons, as the pandemic, as after the pandemic. That, and for example, maybe until today, we are still like fearing to not getting close uh, to the persons, or to not attending places where they don't have self distance. And I think that's how it was affecting during my main thoughts on the pre-COVID season or pandemic, and now.
Right. It just wasn't the same. And so, what was your perspective on people continuing to go out throughout the pandemic?
Um, I was concerned about, because of the cases were increasing. So I was thinking that it was critical to go out during that time. I didn't went out that much. It was just for whatever I needed. But I was really concerned about the people going out, because I was scared of those rates of COVID were increasing in every place. I really was concerned about those people that were going out. Maybe because I didn't want it to, like, for more people to be getting into hospitals.
Right. A lot of overcrowding. Did you participate in any protests?
During the pandemic, no. No, I didn't participate in any protests. Saw the news on how many, like, how people that were protesting around the country, but I didn't participate in any protest. Um,
So, how did you feel about the masks?
well, I couldn't say anything that like about the face mask, because I was just following the rules of the experts. Um, yeah, it was something new for everyone to start going out with our face covered. So, excuse me. Um, yeah, so I was feeling very. It was weird to see now all the people with their face covered. So, but I had to follow the rules. It was an obligation for our society to participate in the recommendations that the scientific people were giving to us, and it was to protect. So we had to follow these rules.
For sure. And did you get vaccinated?
Yes, I was one of the first persons to get vaccinated in my hometown.
And did you have, oh, go ahead.
Yes, in our town is we are on a small community, so everyone was trying to get vaccine to be more protective, to protect more each other. So because of that, I was one of the first ones to get the vaccine.
And did you have any after effects?
Yes, yes. When I got the first vaccine, I was hearing that this like the people that got it before, they were having secondary effects. Some of them they were experiencing differently, and I was curious to know what was going to happen to me when I got the first vaccine. The only symptom that I started feeling, it was I started feeling like very tired during that day. During after the vaccine, also my right arm started hurting a little bit, but I didn't got like fever. I didn't got like any of the hard symptoms that other people were experiencing.
Right. And so you being one of the first people in your town to get vaccinated, so you weren't hesitant to get the vaccine.
I was trying to get the vaccine or to be one of the first ones because I wanted to protect my family. For example, if I was the one going out for the groceries, I wanted to be more. I wanted to have a better immune system to not get or to reduce the percentage to get infected with the virus. So that's why it was. It was not that I was trying to be selfish, but it was just like on the thoughts that it was necessary to be more protect against the virus, to be more near.
Did your family get vaccinated after you?
They were, I mean, they were, yeah, I think probably a month later, that's when they started going to get the vaccine. I was the first one in my family, and they had concerns about the vaccine. They were first trying to get more information before they got it because they were scared also as with the misinformation that the people were sharing. But they got the vaccine probably a month later.
That's good. And was it hard to register for the vaccine?
Actually, no, it was really easy. That's what's my surprise. I thought they were gonna do a hard process to register, but it was really easy. Um, I didn't have any trouble registering for me or for, and also I help other persons to register. So it was something understandable for me to help also to help other people.
Right. Um, Switching it up a little bit, how do you believe politics affected the way COVID was handled?
Well, in politics, every person that is in politics have different ideology, and because of that, at the moment they are taking decisions makes a little bit of problem because once they take a decision, they know it's going to affect some people than others. Taking or doing public policies, uh, it was hard because they knew that they were going to affect, it was going to affect some group of people than other. Um, and also some of them, they weren't the experts on this for this virus, so they were doing I think they were doing also like they were taking bad decisions as politics and not letting the experts on to direct the pandemic.
Right. And so, how did COVID, like the COVID politics in your area affect your area or the state? or the country?
Probably, for example, I would say in my case that I live in Texas, our governor probably commit an error on letting the people to be like to have that freedom before the doctors control the virus, or the scientific people who control the virus, by letting the people go out early than in time or during the pandemic. It was a risk because the cases were increasing faster, and probably that was a mistake from our government, from our politics, to take that decision and not let the people, like the experts, to control the pandemic. So doing that, it was just a mess. It created a mess because after the first time they canceled the curfew. I mean when they started canceling the curfew, um, the cases increased, and then they didn't have more spaces at the hospitals for the new patients.
Right. I understand that you were working at the time of the pandemic.
Yes.
How has or did COVID impact your work?
During that time, I had to quit my job. I was working at I was working at Walmart during that time. So, and also I was going to school at the same time. When I left to Mexico, I had to quit my job. I didn't have any more entry of money for my bills, and I couldn't get a job because I was in Mexico. So it was hard then later to get a job.
Right. And so how has the nature of finding work changed?
Probably now we have to know more, or we have to have more skills. For example, now that we are transitioning, or we transition from traditional works, hands-on, to virtual. Now those people that have more technological skills are the main candidates for these job positions, which are creating a gap between the people that is looking for a job. And it makes harder for people that they don't have that much of education or knowledge on technology to get a job.
Right. You said that you were mildly concerned about finances during that time. How did work play a part in your finances?
Can you repeat the question?
Your concerns with finances, how did that intertwine with work?
Well, I had to start looking for a job. It was hard to maintain my bills. It was hard to start to not pay my bills. So it was necessary for me to start looking for a job.
Perfect. That concludes our interview. Is there anything else you'd like to share about your experience with COVID-19 that I haven't already asked about?
I would like just to mention that probably, it was the first time I experienced something as this critical in my life. Being a student during the pandemic was a chaos. So I would like to recognize those students that, or to mention that those that keep going to college, getting their education, it was an act of heroism, um, an act of that shows that we were trying to get an education, even though it was probably double the it was double the work that we had to do. So I just want to mention this, that being a student during the pandemic it was a hard story, and I'm grateful that that students like you are working on getting these testimonies, so for that the students in the future that they might have same experiences, they can have already an advice on how to solve this, or how to be or to navigate in this on hard times.
Perfect. Thank you for letting me interview you.
No, thank you to you for consider me to be this person and so I can share my testimony.
Of course.